All right, hello everyone, and nice to see you all again. Let's see. Do we have anyone from the team who would like to make any updates?
One update that we released last week, a new stable release. We needed to, in the process, we needed to rotate the Jitsi keys for the repo, so mind that. And yeah, that's it.
Thanks, Damien. Anyone else?
Maybe I can.
Yeah, go ahead, Christo. Actually, do you want to share a video of that demo that you have?
Yeah, sure. You mean right here?
Yeah, go for it.
Because so maybe Boris can go and because I'm gonna need some time to find it on my computer and
Okay. So Boris, you've been cleaning up a lot of Gkofu stuff. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. The work so far has been largely clean up and removing the Jitsi dependency, removing the Tinder and WAG dependency and support for the component. With that, there were some breaking changes recently. So we've been fixing those. I think all of them, all of the known ones are fixed in master. Where this is going towards is the next step is some more cleanup on the XMPP level and supporting Jibri and Jigassi using the service XMPP connection, or the one that we currently use for the bridge. And then further down the line, hopefully we can get to simplifying the Colibri code enough so that we can factor this out. That's about it.
Thank you, Boris. Take it away, Christo.
Yeah, so let me just play the video. So basically, this is our progress on the Filmstrip pagination. It's working pretty good for now. I mean, this is kind of a alpha, pre-alpha version even, but it looks very promising. Basically, what we do here is we render in the DOM only the thumbnails that are currently visible, and the rest are not visible, and they're rendered on the fly when you scroll. So as you can see, it's kind of barely noticeable. That I mean, I don't see any delays or anything. You can see some. Yeah, right now, for example, if you scroll really fast, you can see a little bit of delay when the thumbnails are rendered. But other than that, it works pretty smooth.
Thanks, Christo. So just to remind everyone, what we're doing here is that we're trying to make sure that for larger conferences, there is little as possible stuff actually loaded in memory. And so that's obviously necessary for very large calls, but it's obviously going to help with anything larger than 20 people as well. So we're pretty excited about it. And also, currently our work on larger conferences is based on having a very low number of streams. But Jonathan, you've been doing some testing with,
I've been doing some testing to see how many streams the bridge can sustain in large conferences. That's still ongoing, but I think certainly we can do more than we're currently doing in very large conferences. So there's going to be some changes coming there, but exactly how well it's still to be done, and need to figure out some possibly some more performance bottlenecks in the bridge. But I've got some some promising leads there.
Sounds good. Would anyone else like to make any updates? Jaya, you got anything? Or George?
Yeah, on the client side, some of the performance updates we've been doing, I mean, along with whatever Jonathan has been noticing, is like we switched to a new endpoint stats message. Earlier, we used to broadcast the stats on the bridge channel, and the bridge would actually forward it to all the endpoints in the call. But now we have a new message, and the bridge now selectively forwards it to the interesting parties. That is something Jonathan did. So that would save us some. I mean, this would actually minimize the bit rate on the bridge channel, and then we switched to the spec compliant get stats API. This is supposed to be this is supposed to give us some more CPU savings when in large calls. We were earlier using the callback based one. So, and then we actually for the audio levels also, earlier we used to get the audio levels of all the remote endpoints, but now because we know who the previous speakers are, the bridge sends a list of 10 previous speakers along with the dominant speakers. So we just gather the audio levels for those the top 5 endpoints. So we've been continuously making progress on the client CPU consumption.
Thank you very much, Jaya.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else want to add anything? All right. Well, we can always bring it back up if anyone remembers anything. In the meantime, the microphone is now open for community members. Questions and comments welcome.
Hi.
Yes.
Well, I don't want to hug the call, so I was waiting for somebody else to speak first. But since nobody's speaking, and I don't want you to hang up, this is Freddie. First of all, yay! Why isn't everybody excited? Like this is like the most amazing thing that happened last week. Literally the most amazing thing in the world. This new UI, the new Jitsi. It's the most beautiful thing. I've literally been running calls with myself because nobody else would jump on the call with me just to see how beautiful it is. And I just want to say thank you. I know every time I call, all I'm saying is thank you, but I
Well,
can't say it enough. Thank
thank
you.
you. Thank you for your kind words, Freddie. That was actually already deployed during the previous community call, so that's why we.
No, I was here for the last call. It wasn't. It wasn't unstable. It just came out unstable. I mean, I saw it in
Oh,
unstable.
sorry. It
See,
was
you
on Meet
weren't here on the
Jitsi.
last call.
No, yeah, I wasn't here on the last call, but it was already deployed on Meet Jitsi at time for the last call. So.
Yeah, well, listen, we can't have a party enough, so we should have a party for the whole month, and I'm still excited. Thank you so
That's
much.
acceptable. Yes.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome, Freddie. Thank
And
you
I
for your
just
kind
want to
words.
say, I don't know. I mean, I feel like, I know a bunch of us try to do what we can to support the project. I know you're not going to accept money per se, and we try to direct people over to Jazz, because that's just was acceptable. But I was also wondering, is it possible to have maybe like in one of the categories that we have in the forum, like a volunteer kind of thing, where if you need like basic tasks done, I know that there's usually some work to be done with the documentation. And I was looking at that. I had something that I posted initially in the user guide that I could probably update and forward that to whoever is necessary. But I'm just asking if there's like little things that you don't want to, be bothered with that could help. If we had like a category section, in the forum that you could just post it up, hey, who can take on this task kind of thing. I don't know if that's something you would consider. And obviously we'll do like the regular CLA sign up and stuff like that. Yeah, because I'm sure there are a bunch of people that would love to contribute as well.
So that's yeah, it's good that you mentioned this because I should have also said that we are launching a hackathon with the European Commission, and there's a bunch of tasks that we've kind of recommended there I think we also have a few from our last application for Google Summer of Code. So we could certainly advertise them a little bit more. But anyone here who's interested in contributing and potentially winning a prize for it, check out this hackathon that we're organizing, and it'll be on April 26th. And there's a bunch of cool things that we're going to attempt and get done during that time.
Okay. Sounds great. But thank you again. Thank you, everybody. I don't want to mention names because I know there's a whole bunch of people that are working behind the scenes, and I only know some of the front end people. So thank you, Tim. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Well, Freddie, you're great. Thank you so much for your kind words.
Thank you.
We really
Thank
appreciate
you.
that.
Yeah, I can add something about that. We recently added a new label in the Jitsi project, and there are issues marked as volunteers wanted. But these are, most of them, they are like simple coding tasks and features that are not in our immediate roadmap, and they are low priority. So this is another option.
Yeah, I guess we could just put them out on the GitHub tracker and use that label again in case people are. There's certainly a lot of stuff that, a lot of ideas that we have. So that'd be a worthwhile thing to explore for sure. Okay. Any other questions? I just saw Dario on the call as well, so I'm sure, Jonathan, he would love an update on VP9. We are running it in beta, I believe, already. I think we're quite happy with it. Is there anything you'd like to add, Jonathan?
There was recently a community fix that there was issue with the flexible mode support, so the community is using it and finding bugs and submitting them and fixing them. So that's awesome. If you want to keep testing and let me know any problems, and even if you want to fix them, that's even better. But I don't insist on it. But let me know of any issues you see if you want to use it. And we, like I said, we are using it on our betas, and it's working reasonably well. Though we mostly don't test some of the hard cases like weird mobile or weird browsers. So.
Thank you, Jonathan. Did anyone else from the floor come up with another question that they'd like to pose for the group? Last call. All right then.
Quick question. I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes.
This is DJ.
Yes. Yes.
Regarding your tests with 100 people in large rooms, what is the target that you're trying to meet? Are you targeting 500 people in a room?
That's correct. We're currently looking at 500.
Okay. And where can I track the progress of this project? Is there an issue that actually has all the details as to where you are with it?
Here is the best answer.
Okay.
We don't have it fine-grainedly defined on the GitHub tracker. Historically, we've always been using a mixture of trackers, and it's kind of problematic to always synchronize everything. But so the point is that we've discussed this a few times on the call. The performance optimizations that Christo demonstrated on the front end are a huge part of this. What Jaya described is another huge part of this. And then the tests that Jonathan talked about are another part of this. So we're hoping that this will be ready next quarter, somewhere in the middle of next quarter. So that would put us, like mid-August at the latest or something like that. And it's obviously possible that we're ready earlier. And if that's the case, we'll just let everyone here know about it.
Okay, thanks, Emil. Another question about the XMPP server. Currently, Prosody is the server of choice, but it does not have cluster support, so there's no HA available. Are there experiments being run with eJabbered or some other alternatives?
No. No. And So what is it specifically that you need? Why would you like to have cluster support in there?
So there is a single point of failure within every shard currently, which is the XMPP server, right? If it goes down, it basically loses track of the confidence. Just wanted to make it more reliable. If we had to do that, then potentially would need to have a cluster support for that particular component within a shard.
So that is correct. It is possible for a shard to fail. The way that we address this issue is to make sure that we have a bunch of shards available, and that the code will be automatically and quickly migrated to another shard. Now, there will be an interruption experienced, of course, but it's a very short interruption. Actually, Aaron, we should share that video that we did at some point, just to show.
Yeah, I'd like to add, there's no really technical reason you couldn't use something else, right? We're trying to mostly be speaking XMPP and these things. We ourselves use some modules that we'd recommend, and I don't know how well those would be implemented in other XMPP servers, but there's no reason why you couldn't implement it in eJabberD. We just aren't running it that way.
Well, yes, it's I think there would be at least the modules, and I expect some quirks that where we might be over relying on Crosley behavior to show up.
I'd agree with that. Yeah.
And you're right, we've never really tested, but the whole point that I was trying to make is that the reason we're probably not even going to test that is that at this point, the situation that we can have with Jitsi is to reduce the interruption based on a shard failure to a very short amount of time. And so that's a reload, and then you're back in the game. And given that that failures of shards happen very rarely, that has been acceptable in commercial environments. And by very rarely, it's really very rarely like that a shard would go down at the porosity level. And I guess I would be a little skeptical as to whether something substantially better would be achieved with another server, because clients would still have to reconnect, depending on how the shard fails. That puts Chikofo in a like if it's the machine that failed, we usually deploy machines with Chikofos together. So would that mean that this fails as well? In which case, the fact that eJabberD's cluster doesn't really change anything. There's a lot of other components, but my whole thing is that, and also there's a lot of, based on what we've been able to see out there, while eJabberD is clustered, and this is just based on stuff that we've read, we haven't actually experienced it, but the chattiness of eJabberD seems to be substantial, and if I remember correctly, it's not really appropriate for cross-region deployment, so that actually takes away some of the solutions that it could have provided. So I think if we actually do something in that direction, and all this that I said, it wasn't intended to mean that it's something that we would never be interested in, just to mean that if we are to switch to eJabberD clustered, I don't think that we're going to get a significant improvement. What we have been considering and kicking around is to potentially rely more on some sort of in-memory storage, like Redis or something like that, for the bridge, for the Chikofos, and then maybe one day for prosody as well, so that you could have prosodies that are able to take over each other, even though they're not clustered, and achieve something better that way. Well, but all of this is just at the idea phase right now.
Okay, thanks.
Hopefully
Thanks
this makes sense.
Update. Yeah, it does. There's another question about Octo specifically. So with Octo, the inter-bridge communication is unencrypted at this point. Is there any plan to encrypt the communication between JVBs using Octo?
No, because we rely on lower level encryption. And those are easy to set up. So most of our communication is over some kind of VLAN or VPN or something. So far we found out that that's an acceptable friction point. So it's something that people would easily set up themselves, that encryption between bridges, and that's good enough. Are you not able to do that for some reason?
We haven't tried it out yet, but just wanted to know your thoughts on it. But we'll try the mechanisms that are available with the cloud service providers.
Yeah, that's currently our recommendation. And look, in the grand scheme of things, of course, it would be good to have one less thing to do. There's someone introducing noise inadvertently. I didn't join as a moderator. Damien, could you please mute all? Thank you.
Emil, you might need to unmute.
Right. So thank you. So in the grand scheme of things, obviously, it would be better if you didn't have to do any encryption between bridges separately. If you just came in natively. But that's probably true of 1,000 other things that we need to do with Jitsi. So given that this one has a solution that is not too difficult, it might wait for something down the line. For now, please set up a VPN or something else that would encrypt between your bridges.
Yeah, and I think for performance reasons, it's better to have that encryption not be running in the JPB process, but rather in a separate process or instance, because I think that will be more efficient and take load off the JPB process.
Well, that's also a good point, yes.
Okay, thank you for the answers, everyone. Thanks, Emil.
You're welcome. Okay. All right, everyone. Well, thank you very much for joining today. And I hope you have a lovely week, and we'll see you again in a fortnight. Bye-bye.